Hello and welcome to a freezing cold remove before launch. And today, people, I am in the ultimate sports car. No, I'm lying. Today I am in a Vauxhall Astra SRI. Now, outside wise, it's unmistakably a Vauxhall and an Astra. You've got the usual big Griffin badge. And to be honest, not an unattractive car. You know, it's not going to set the world on fire with appearances, but actually I quite like it. It's quite nice. It's moved it on. It's, you know, like I said, it's definitely an Astra, but it's just that little bit more modern. So yeah, it's not an unattractive car at all. Quite surprisingly is the amount of room in the back. This seat is in the driving position that I was just in, and yeah, there's actually loads of legroom. Quite spacious, definitely easy with 2 people in the back. Not sure about 3. And the front's nice as well, nice and comfy. Again, plenty of space, getting a decent driving position. It's good. And that's one of the things that I like about this is actually a smaller car than its predecessor. So as they've moved on, usually most cars are getting bigger and bigger. The Astra, for a change, has actually got slightly smaller, which is good news because cars are getting so big now, it's getting a bit ridiculous. Roads aren't getting any bigger, and nor are parking spaces, so it's a little bit frustrating that cars just keep getting ridiculous in size. And what's interesting is they've reduced this one down in size on the exterior, but actually on the interior they've given you more space. So they've worked some TARDIS-like wizardry and improved the ergonomics and the space inside, which is good news. So I'm going to take it for a spin now, but what I'm really doing here is I'm looking at this. Has Vauxhall moved things on, but also there's lots to be said for this as like a bit of a bargain really, because Vauxhalls unfortunately hemorrhage cash, or fortunately, depending on what side of the fence you're on with that. But because of that, you do get a lot of car for. I mean, this would have been, with the spec it's at, over 20 grand new, and now you can pick it up for around about £8,000. So it is a lot of car for the money. So it does make a very strong argument for a decent, reliable family hatchback. So here I am, back behind the wheel of a Vauxhall. It's actually alright, it's quite nice, quite comfy. This one's got a leather covered steering wheel. Being the SRI, slightly supportive seats, so you've got a bit of a side bolster. Actually quite comfortable, you know, firm but comfy. You know, the dash, the old, or I think the predecessor, I remember going in one and it was there's buttons everywhere. This one's been simplified down, so you've got a nice touchscreen infotainment system. This hasn't got the sat nav, but all in all it's good. DAB radio, everything else. You got even Wi-Fi hotspot and all the rest of it, so that's quite cool. Yeah, and all the layout, the aircon, climate control, you know, the dash in general, you know, multi-function steering wheel, everything's good, and you can get yourself into a pretty tidy driving position with it as well. However, as with any car, it's not just about sitting here. You can do that in an armchair. What's it actually like to drive? And this is, or has been, one of Vauxhall's issues, hasn't it really? Let's face it. Quite often they could put a nice package together, particularly their VXRs and GSIs and GTEs over the years have always been quite appealing, but they've generally not hit the mark when it comes to driving dynamics. I think sometimes the criticisms have been a little bit too harsh. I've actually quite liked a lot of the hot hatches. Yeah, they always could look quite good. They usually had a storming engine as well. I remember the old GTE with the 16-valve engine and that. The 2-litre 16-valve was an absolute monster of an engine at the time with 150 brake, and it was an awesome bit of kit. And then the VXRs, you know, the Astra, the predecessor, the Astra VSR, a VXR with the 2-litre turbo was pumping out a pretty decent amount of power. Bit of a chugger, to be honest. Not the most refined diesel noise, as it were. It is a little bit noisy, a little bit rattly, but it is what it is. Now this is as pointed out, this is the 1.6 TDI. It's not, they've done like 134 brake version, they've done 106 brake version, which is what this is. So it's not the sporty model, but it's still, overall BHP is pretty low, you know, in the grand scheme of things, but as with all diesels, it's got a reasonable amount of torque. Now, what I have found is very interesting. it actually drives like it's got more power than it has. Now, off the line, it's you know, there's not a huge amount of urgency to it. It's okay, but what I have found is the in gear is nice. It's pretty eager, and I was expecting it to be a lot less potent than it is. And once it's going, pretty much in any gear, it's actually pretty decent. Okay, it's not going to blow your socks off. It's not throwing you back in your seat, but then that's not really what it's designed to do. At the end of the day, this is a family hatch. I know it's got the SRI badge, but which adds a few sporty things, you know, the wheels, the seats, etc., etc. But it is just a family hatch at the end of the day. And it is the lower state of tune on the diesel. But actually, I find it pretty decent. Carries a reasonable amount of speed, but the main thing is for real world sort of everyday driving, it's good. You're not finding that you're wrestling through the gearbox to just try and get it to go. And if anyone remembers my video of the Mini 1 the other day, the slightly annoying, disconcerting, frustrating thing with that car was the 5-cylinder engine. It was really not a winner for me. I didn't enjoy it at all. And this is your 4-cylinder. Now, bearing in mind there has now been a facelift on this car, and I think, I haven't looked into it, but I think they're bringing in more 3-cylinder engines themselves with Vauxhall. So it's possibly not fair to do a complete comparison between this and the Mini, but it just highlights the fact that the Mini 1.5 3-cylinder petrol engine was, I thought, pants, and this, in what is quite a low state of tune 4-cylinder turbo diesel, actually is pretty good. And also, more impressive with this is I've been doing a lot of mixed driving during today, and I'm still averaging, it's showing 58.4 miles to the gallon, which is not bad. It's not record breaking, but you've got to remember that this is based on me doing a real mixed bag of driving. So that's dual carriageway, motorway, twisty B roads, running, you know, fast, slow, medium, pulling away, etc., etc. So a real mixed bag of driving. So you're going to get a pretty inefficient return. If you're cruising along the motorway for a long period of time, my guess is that's going to go up considerably. And again, that was the thing. And now I know I'm comparing a little bit unfairly a diesel against a petrol, but that Mini could, you know, I was barely making 35 to the gallon. I was so frustrated by it. So it was lack of performance, lack of urgency or interest in driving from revving or wanting to do anything with that engine. And then you were getting no return on the economy either. So, you know, it is what it is. Because of the efficiency of the engine, and obviously it's got all the eco credentials, it's got your little eco driving index here that tells you when you're within eco mode or whether you're exceeding it, etc. And all the other features, you know, stop, start, etc., etc. It's only £30 a year on road tax. So, engine, good, as far as I'm concerned. Two big factors for Vauxhall that have always been real issues: steering, gearbox. The gearbox of the past have been, you know, like stirring a bowl of soup. You know, they have been pretty poor. And I'm happy to say and happy to report that it has improved, which is nice. Has it improved enough? No. If you're doing comparisons against other competitors, then there are better out there, there's no doubt about it. The gearbox, which has always been hilarious with Vauxhalls, actually is not too bad at all. It's not brilliant, it's not like Honda sort of Type R equivalent, but actually it's relatively slick. It's a bit notchy, you know, it's not as precise as I'd like it, but it's not bad, you know, it's not bad at all. It's certainly not getting caught out on it. It's pretty smooth. It's all right. It's, you know, you've got this weird, they've had this obsession with this slightly weird gear knob thing, Vauxhalls of late, but actually from a user point of view and ergonomics, it's actually quite comfortable. Then it brings us on to the steering. So what's the steering like? Again, another area that Vauxhall has really generally struggled with. And again, happy to report, pretty good. Can't really fault it. it's not outstanding. It's not anywhere near some of the top of the pile competitors. You know, don't get me wrong. I'm not sort of trying to claim it's suddenly a revelation or anything like that. It's just, it's not bad. And compared to what they used to produce, it's a lot better. Now, the really outstanding thing for me on this is the chassis setup, or not necessarily setup, but just the firmness of it. What I'm surprised by is just how taut the car feels. It does feel nice and planted. In some respects, maybe a little bit too taut, because when you go, again, the road's just been down, where it's a little bit uneven, it can, you know, feel a little bit bumpy, but it's never crashy. And this has also got the bigger wheels, it's got the sort of narrower rubber, but it never feels crashy, it never feels uncomfortable. Just a little bit, maybe too much rocking and rolling when you hit an uneven patch, but yeah, it's actually nice, it's comfortable and pretty reassuring and stable, and with the wider rubber on it as well, you can carry more speed around the twisties than I thought you would. I thought I'd be all out of sorts and would be, you know, with the prospect of a 1.6 diesel Astra SRI nowadays, or before I drove it, would fill me with a sense of, oh, this is going to be dull, or I'm going to be, trying to stop myself from ending up in a hedge somewhere here if I press on. Not like that at all. Actually, feels really nice. Quite surprised at how much grip there is, quite surprised at how much balance there is, just overall quite surprised that it's got that nice comfortable feel to it. And then the other thing on it, brakes. What are the brakes like? Good, pretty decent, reasonable level of feedback and feel, you know, pretty decent stopping power as well. I haven't had to sort of try them in anger, you know, I've not done anything emergency wise or anything, but the feedback's pretty decent. There's a little bit of, they're not too sharp, there's a little bit of pedal travel, but probably about right. I don't feel uncomfortable. You know, I've had cars before where it's like you're almost through the windscreen, or you've got to stand on the pedal to get them to do anything. So I'd say it's probably, for me personally, my personal preference, it's probably about the right kind of balance. And they do seem to shrug off a decent amount of speed in a pretty effective manner. So that's it, my first step back into driving a Vauxhall Langer for quite a few years now, long time, and not disappointed. I was expecting to be a little bit like, come away from it a bit like, and to be fair, it's not going to be like a memorable drive where I go, wow, I really want one of those, or I'm going to miss that car or whatever. But if we take it in the context of what it is, I think it does a really good job, and goes beyond what I was expecting. My expectations were definitely lower. I'm impressed. It's, you know, and it's behaved itself all day. It's been great. It feels really well put together. It's just a really good A to B car. And yes, I know I shouldn't say that, but if that's what you need a car for, it actually does do a good job of it. So let me know what you think. Any thoughts, comments, feedback below, I'd really appreciate it. Please drop a comment, give us a like, a subscribe, anything you can. I want to bring more content, more cars. The only way I can do that really is if people bother watching. So no, please get involved if you can, really helps me out. This has been a review before launch. Appreciate your time if you got this far. Thank you very much. I'll catch you soon.